Him.
All right. Big chill streak.
Interrupted him or silenced him.
Nice, they're both dead.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. My name is Xodas, and today I want to talk about Arena right now. I want to talk about Arena as a Frost DK, but on top of that, the meta right now, as I'm sure all of you guys know, or if you don't know, then count yourselves lucky, but the meta is insane right now. Sub rogues are broken, marksmanship hunters are broken, boomkins are broken, disc priests are broken, shamans are broken, pod tender, one of the soulbinds or night fae, that thing's broken. If a druid uses it and they pop bear form when they die, or they pop tree form right before they die, their character model is bigger than the pod model, and so what happens is you can't click the pod to kill it. You've got to use a macro that will actually target the pod. I'm gonna go ahead and pop that up on the screen. But guys, this video is all about my experience in Arena and trying to give you guys some tips and tricks for getting yourselves up to 1800 or higher and understanding the meta. And the first thing to understand is that we are getting a bunch of nerfs for classes that are busted. There are going to be a bunch of nerfs. There's going to be boomkin nerfs. There's going to be unholy nerfs. There's going to be marksmanship nerfs. There's also going to be resto shaman nerfs. And today Ian Hazakostas had a interview with Slootbag where he said,
what are your guys' feelings right now on some of the state and speed of PvP, for lack of a better term? I just watched a video of 3 sub rogues globaling Windwalker in 0.1 seconds.
Definite sub buffs coming down the pipe.
Okay, I thought so. Yeah.
Now that you guys kind of know what's going on, there's a lot of busted stuff. Boomkins one-shotting people. Arms warriors are just doing tremendous amounts of damage. A lot of these classes, pretty much all these classes I've mentioned, at least the worst ones, are getting nerfed tomorrow. Now, talking about us Frost DK specifically, what do you want to be doing to maximize your chances of survival and your chances to actually push your rating as a Frost DK? Well, first of all, this isn't going to be like a beginner's kind of guide. I'm not going to be talking about rotation or anything like that here. This is very PvP centric. If you're looking for a beginner's guide, then I suggest you watch my beginner's guide video. I will have it up in the corner of the video right over there, so check that out. So in PvP, first off, let's talk about legendaries. This is very important. You need absolute zero. You need absolute zero, and the reason you need absolute zero is because it is an insanely powerful stun. It's a 3-second stun. It stuns everything it hits. It has no target cap. You can stop the entire enemy team. This is useful for several different scenarios. This is useful first and foremost for setting up your own chill streaks, and if you time it out properly, in the moment that you've got that Frostborn's Fury flying out, you've already got everything else rolling, you just need to throw the chill streak, you can easily end an entire team just in that one stun duration by doing that. What this also does is frees us up to play other different types of comps besides just with Windwalkers and with Demon Hunters and with Enhanced Shamans, things that have AoE stuns, because now we have the AoE stun. That's pretty nice for us to become self-sufficient in that way. Another reason why it's really good is that you're able to actually peel off of your healer or off of your DPS or even off of yourself. This is a wonderful way to just stun the entire team and just stop having them hit you for 3 seconds. Just literally push the pause button on the game, and it gives your healer a chance to catch up on healing or to not have to spend that cooldown, whatever it is, and that can literally be the difference between a win and a loss. There are other legendaries that are very enticing. They increase your damage. Biting Cold is one of them. It's really, really strong, especially for melee comps where you are going to have a lot of uptime on 2 targets. A lot of cleave is also very good just in general as a great single target damage conduit. There's also Corsair's Favor, which a lot of people are absolutely in love with and really want, and Corsair's Favor is very strong, but ultimately none of those abilities are going to give you the kind of utility you get out of this. Maybe you can run Corsair's Favor and get away with it if you're playing with a Windwalker or one of those other classes that has that AoE stun that kind of fills that void for you and helps you set up your chill streaks. But if you don't have that, you're gonna have to have absolute zero. Is gonna be a lifesaver. Now let's talk a little bit about talents. So for talents, I am running an Inexorable Assault. This just gives us more consistent damage, a little bit more burst damage as well with our obliterates. Very, very strong, very, very useful, and definitely the #1 pick for PvP. For row number 2, you want Murder Sufficiency. Since we are 2-hand Frost DKs, you're gonna want to drive as many obliterates as you can possibly drive home, and this is gonna help you do that. For your level 30 row, you're gonna want either Asphyxiate or Blinding Sleep. sleep. If you run asphyxiate, be careful because it will DR like crazy from your dragon stun that comes with your legendary. So I strongly advise not using it at the same time that you use your dragon stun. I tend to prefer to use my asphyxiate as kind of a secondary setup. So the first setup doesn't quite work, but I feel like there's kill potential. Then in a few seconds when the DRs are gone, then using an asphyxiate to secure a kill is great. Using an asphyxiate to lock down a very mobile target so that you can actually get onto them is great. There's a lot of wonderful uses for asphyxiate. Blinding Sleet is also a super strong ability. It's another one that allows you to lock down an entire enemy team if you aim it properly, but it is broken by damage, and so you've got to be able to throw that out and not break it. This means no Remorseless Winter. This means no A-bomb limb. This means just making sure that you play it smart and use it at times when you're really going to get the most out of it. But this is once again really wonderful for peeling off of your healer, peeling off of yourself, peeling off your DPS partner, whatever. This is great for peels. This is great for interrupting casts. This is great for a lot of different things. For your level 35 row, you're gonna want Avalanche and nothing else, man. This is love right here. All right, you want Avalanche. It is by far the best for burst upfront damage. At level 40, you're gonna want Death Pact. This is what I personally prefer. I find it to be a very good kind of oh shit button. However, it will bury you. It will actually cost you games if you are throwing it out willy-nilly or not communicating it right to your healer, because if you pop this and then your healer throws a giant heal into you, then 30% of that heal, or 30% of your maximum HP bar, I should say, worth of that heal is going to be absorbed, and this can actually kill you if you pop it at the wrong time. If you don't feel confident about that, or if your healer doesn't really like it, then I strongly suggest running Wraith Walk. This allows you to get on to targets easier. This allows you to work your way around the map better, and a little mobility never hurts. For level 45, you're going to want Gathering Storm right now. Glacial Advance is a very powerful option. However, games are running so fast right now that you don't have time to be setting up 5 Glacial Advance Razor Ice stacks. You just don't have time. Right now, you're going to want Gathering Storm. This is definitely performing the best. Hypothermic Presence is also a very solid option. It's a very defensive option, but it is a very solid option. I personally am leaning more towards Gathering Storm at the moment because even Hypothermic Presence bursts so high right now, you don't really feel like you get a ton out of it, and the same thing goes for Glacial Advance. Gathering Storm is just perfect for not having to do too much extra things and just being able to focus on out-exploding the explosive burst that is in Arena right now. And then for level 50 row, of course, you want Obliteration and a story. Obliteration is absolutely amazing, and there is no competition in PvP for either of these two choices. For your PvP talents, you're going to want Chill Streak, Necrotic Aura, and Dome. These are going to be the 3 that you're going to have slotted in all the time. Set it and forget it. There is 1 or 2 other choices that are very enticing, and sometimes you're going to want to run them. The first one is Death Chill. Death Chill is wonderful for allowing you to lock down highly mobile targets. That pesky Mistweaver, that pesky Demon Hunter, whatever. This is really strong for chainsing and double chainsing and getting those roots. This is really powerful for Remorseless Winters to help you set up those Chill Streak goes in between your dragon stuns. This is a really great way to get a lot more uptime and damage and control on the map. So I really suggest taking Death Chill for that mechanical gameplay. One that a lot of people, of course, know is very good, but isn't very good right now is Heartstop Aura. Heartstop Aura is normally one of the best PvP talents we have and one of the strongest in the game, and for good reason. However, right now, the games aren't lasting long enough. This isn't something that you really see up front in games. This is something that makes a big difference over time. And in games that are lasting, frankly, less than a minute almost every single time, you're not going to see any difference from running this Heartstop Aura, not the kind of difference that you're going to see from running something with more mechanical strength or something that's just going to straight up increase damage to once again help you out cheese the cheese. Transfusion is also a very interesting choice. Right now I don't recommend it for 2 reasons. Right now Death Strike kind of sucks. It only heals for 5% of your HP. That is not enough to do anything, and so for that reason Transfusion's not very good. But on top of that, Transfusion the idea is you pop Transfusion, and for 7 seconds, you're basically death striking and throwing Obliterates out just to build up runic power. This is going to kill your damage. It's going to severely kill your damage. And in a meta where the secret is forward momentum, out cheese the cheese, do more damage, do more pressure, do more CC before they can do more CC and more damage and more pressure to you, the last thing you want to do is dedicate 7 seconds of your game to playing defensive. You want to play defensive as little as possible. You do not want to be pushed defensive. If you are pushed defensive in the current meta, chances are you will probably die. All right, so that's it for talents. Let's talk a little bit about gear and itemization. For gear and itemization, you're really going to want mastery over verse over haste. This is going to be ideal for two-handers in PvP. Mastery, because it obviously increases all of our damage all across the board. This is absolutely massive for out-cheesing that cheese and having the biggest damage possible. Versatility, of course, reduces damage you take, increases the damage you do, increases the healing you do, and this is officially the new PvP stat. All PvPers are going to want versatility on every single piece of gear that you have. Everyone. You want every piece to have versatility. Then haste is super important because this increases your auto attack speed, which is a huge help for two-hand frost. This increases your rune regeneration rate that allows you to push out more obliterates and get more runic power for more frost strikes, more healing, more everything in a shorter amount of time. And once again, we're in a very fast meta, so the faster you can play, the faster you are, the better chances you have of succeeding. Crit is something I wouldn't suggest worrying too much about. Crit was unnerfed in PvP and BFA. Crit was basically working at 50% reduced effectiveness. That has been changed to now be 175%, where normally it's 200%. So basically it's 25% weaker than it is in PvE, for example, inside of PvP. So crit is definitely a lot more enticing. However, as a two-hand frost DK, crit isn't that useful, since our auto attack speed is so slow that basically you just don't get many more natural killing machine procs, pretty much regardless of how much crit you have. And this is from somebody who has an entire crit set. I can easily have 15% crit. In fact, my PvE set is 15% crit, and I've tried it with two-hand, and pretty much you don't get any more killing machine procs than you would if you had 0 crit, it seems. So to me, it's not really showing to pay off, and I feel pretty certain that you're just going to want to focus on mastery, versatility, and haste. That is definitely what you're going to want. For your PvP trinkets, this is a question I've gotten asked a lot. You're going to want, if you're a human, you're going to want to have 2 double DPS trinkets. You're going to want your use trinket, the badge of ferocity, and you're going to want your insignia of alacrity, which is going to give you that primary stat boost randomly as it procs. This is very, very strong. This is the combo you want for a human. When you play against rogues, you're going to want to swap out your passive trinket for that sinful aspirant's medallion. This is a trinket that breaks you out of CC. This is very important. You can no longer break saps with it, for example, but you can use it to get out of blinds, and that's huge because right now rogues are the most broken thing in the meta, so they're the thing you're going to come across the most, and they're always going to want to blind you to try and get a setup on you. They're going to blind you, they're going to sit there, wait till they get out of combat, and they're going to re-stealth, they're going to open you, and you're going to die. You're not going to survive the second go unless you played very smart with your cooldowns, and that isn't always the case for most people. So make sure you save this, make sure you wear this, make sure you save it for that blind. Don't use this on anything but blind, or maybe a polymorph if it's a rogue mage kind of team. Whatever it is, you want to use this to avoid the one shot, and that is really the biggest secret to the to arenas right now, is how do I avoid the one shot, and how do I one shot them before they one shot me? If you can figure out those 2 questions, and then you can perform it, and you can actually do it, then you will go places in arena at the moment. But without having those 2 things down, you are going to struggle very, very much. All right, and finally, let's talk about Covenant. So right now, Kyrian is not a terrible option. Hey, editing Nick here. So while I was editing this video, it turns out that Blizzard actually updated the hotfixes, and we actually got more than we were expecting. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. So what they added is they actually added a nerf for Pelagos, the soulbind from the Kyrian, and this is the soulbind that gives people 350 mastery. So what they've done is combat meditation mastery value reduced by 50% in PvP, and duration increased by 50%. Basically, if you're Kyrian as a Frost DK, or even as an Unholy DK, between this and the effectiveness of your mastery being nerfed, you're going to want to jump ship like ASAP. Pretty much every Frost DK friend I know that was still holding on to Kyrian, they literally are swapping as we speak. They are catching up and they are going Necrolord. Do not go Kyrian. It is now trash in PvP. All right, now back to the video. But Necrolord is definitely by far the best, and the reason why is because A-Bomb Limb literally makes sure that you do not get kited. It ensures that you have 100% uptime on that Mistweaver Monk. It ensures that you have 100% uptime on that Fire Mage. It ensures that you have 100% uptime on that Resto Druid. it guarantees your burst, and that is something that we've never had before, and that's something that is invaluable because as Frost decays, so much of our kill potential is allocated inside of our burst. It's also wonderful for popping that A-bomb limb. It grips everybody into on top of you. You drop the Frostburn's Fury at that same moment, everybody gets stunned, you drop the chill streak, and everybody dies. That is the main setup you want to go for, and without A-bomb limb, that is very, very difficult to do. On top of that, A-bomb limb is wonderful for just overall damage. It's wonderful for going through things that offer physical invulnerability. Since it does shadow damage, you can eat right through a rogue evasion with it. You can eat right through retaliation, or die by the sword, I believe it's called now, with it. It will grip people, it will interrupt casts, it will completely harass the enemy team, and it will pretty much shut down everything they're trying to do, except they can still go defensive. And as I mentioned earlier in this video, right now in the current meta, the team that is forced on the defensive first oftentimes is going to be the team that loses. Right now it is all about forward momentum. If you lose that momentum, then you're going to be stuck at a standstill. So A-bomb limb allows you to keep that momentum. It allows you to keep damage on the target, allows you to harass the team, and it allows you to make them basically have no choice but to stop whatever it is they're doing and focus entirely on trying to get away from you. But the beautiful thing is they won't. And so that's why A-bomb limb is so powerful. Outside of that, really, it is just coming down to good Frost DK mechanics. Make sure you're performing your rotation properly. Make sure you pop that Remorseless Winter on cooldown. Don't be afraid to use that Remorseless Winter to try and get a rogue out of stealth. It is very effective. Don't be afraid to try and use your A-bomb limb to try and get a rogue out of stealth, as long as you feel like you have a solid chance of it working. If you see Dagger in the Dark stacking up on you in your debuff section, this is a wonderful, wonderful tell that the rogue is within 10 or so yards of you. And so if you pop your A-bomb limb right then, the moment Dagger in the Dark pops up on your debuffs, then there's a very high chance you're going to grip him right out of stealth, and he will have a ruined opener. Make sure that you're healing in the right order. You're using Lichborn first. Lichborn's your go-to heal. After that, then you're going for a pet sack, and after the pet sack, your final your last resort is to Death Pact. And once again, make sure you don't accidentally bury yourself under it. Make sure you communicate it with your healer. Tell them before the game starts, this is what Death Pact is. This is what Death Pact does. This is how we can avoid it, you know, and see if they're okay with it. Because some healers don't like it and they will ask you to change. And if they do, don't argue with them. Do it because there's a good reason for it. Death Pact can kill you. Make sure you're popping those cooldowns in the opener, popping them on cooldown after that, making sure you're lining up different setups, you're going for the setups, you're swapping targets based off of what cooldowns they've popped. Don't be hitting a priest with pain suppression on, don't be hitting a feral druid with survival instincts on. Swap to the target that doesn't have a defensive. You're gonna do more damage by not going through a defensive. This is the #1 way of peeling defensives out of people and setting up kill opportunities. Also, make sure that you are using those chains of ices, people. Make sure you're chainsing your main target. Keep that chains in your main target all the time, unless they are a similarly slow melee DPS like warrior, for example. Keep that chains on your focus target. If you're playing with a healer, set the DPS, set the off target as your focus target, the DPS, and make sure you just watch it and just make sure you pop a chains on them and that they are permanently slowed. Otherwise, your healer will probably die. If you really need a big peel for your healer, what I recommend is gripping that DPS in and then immediately asphyxiating them. Asphyxiate is not a massive kind of stun, and since we're running the legendary Frostward's Fury, then you don't need to worry about using your only stun on peeling a DPS, because your main stun is the dragon stun. So gripping a target in, changing them, and or asphyxiating them is a wonderful way to save your healer's life. Just be careful when doing it to warriors, because they will absolutely charge your healer back, get all the rage that they need, and then kill your healer happily. So be careful. And don't forget to use that DND. Do not forget to use this DND to break rogues and ferals out of stealth. Think about it like, if I was a rogue and I didn't want to get caught, what's the route in this map that I would take to get to us as fast as possible to get a sap before someone gets in combat and the sap is ruined? They all want the sap. They all want to get to you as fast as possible. Bad rogues tend to travel in a straight line. Good rogues tend to flank. Figure out which one you are facing based off of your rating and CR, and then drop the DND in the place that you feel is the most likely place for them to be. And when you get them, it will feel wonderful. And if you don't don't feel bad because you are literally shooting in the dark trying to get a rogue out. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hit that like button if you did, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. I stream all the time. I stream pretty regularly. There isn't like an official schedule, but I am streaming most days here on YouTube. So if you want to see more PvP, or you guys want to see some PvE, or you guys want to ask some questions, feel free to drop by and say hey. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Have a good one.